said and what is presented.
It's a ton of information. The more I hear it, the more of an understanding I get. The thing I like about it the most is that the appetite is to learn and move together, but it's clear there's a lot of work to be done by all the people who want to work together. So I'll be honest, it's pretty overwhelming at the beginning. It really is. But the more you hear it, and the more you get to experience and hear from different people.
Well, according to Harper, his statement was that whoever's going to follow his agenda, he's going to go with that, them, and the rest are on their own. So we're on our own, I guess, because we're going to follow his. But we don't have time to follow his agenda because we're in court and we want to do it by law and we want to do it legally, you know, and that's what it's about. It's not about fighting Harper or fighting anybody. It's just that we want to do it by law, and that's what it's about. But the understanding of the First Nations, they need to decide what they want to do, because you can't do both. You can't go on Harper's agenda and then be on this side.
Yeah, they need to know that they can do something instead of going on somebody's agenda.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
See, because, fine, if Harper wants to go with his agenda, okay? Because he's bound by subject matter. Okay, that's what it is. We're bound by matter at bar.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying is people need to understand that. All people. Yeah, all people. Even the corporations need to understand that because when it gets down to law, or then it's that deal is going to be different. But approach, and everything's going to be different. And with food and
Well, the door is open for you, you know. I mean, once this matter is cleared up on the 18th, the door is open for Lieutenant Booger.
yeah.
He said, when this is over, we sit down. That's what he said technically, not really.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Yep.
So see, there you go.
But you know, people need to understand that. Like, we don't want to draw people and make them go in more poverty. I want the people to understand and make the right decision for themselves, because you know there's children involved in every community. So I don't have the heart to do that to children. That have nothing to do with it. But you don't understand it. They need protection. Everybody needs protection across the country. I can't just get protection. Me and my community members and the hell with the rest. Can't do that. You know, law. What is law is. We're bound by the law that protect the people and the women, children, and that's all of us. You understand that. But then if you want to be like John Hawk and want to be a citizen,
And that's their right too.
that's not their right, but if you wish to go that way, then go that way. But by law, you can't do that. Yeah, the law is the law. And this way. You cannot be a citizen. That's the law. That's the way I see it.
It's kind of contradictory in that Supreme Court ruling when it says you cannot be a citizen of a foreign state.
Yeah.
So who are they talking to when they say that?
What
So-
state?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can't come in and do that. If that's the law.
If, see, that's, you need to have a clear understanding of that. Everybody does.
Yeah.
You know? And either you're a citizen of your own tribe, which you have every right to be, or you're a citizen of some kind of a state where you have what you need to, and everything is intact as it would be as a citizen of your own tribe.
On your own state.
Yeah. Well, it has
First,
to be.
first state. Can be another state.
See, because Manitoba is a state. The province is, well, yeah, that's another name they could use.
That's the second state though.
But Manitoba is a state.
Second state.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
It's state and like,
Well, in the purest form of the definition of the word state.
yeah, it's just like in a sovereign state type of a thing, okay? Whereas the others, like the other, whatever you want to call it, even Canada is not considered a state. It's how you use that language. See? If I'm not a citizen of the state of Manitoba, then who I am then? If I say I'm a citizen of the state of Manitoba, a private person with private rights, then who am I if I'm not? That's the question to the Supreme Court. And they say yes. The Canadian Law Society and the supreme law of the land, I am bound and compelled to abide by it and to uphold it. Therefore, your case is dismissed with no costs. That's the legal language they use to say, I have no jurisdiction over it. It's that simple. Okay, you want to start this or what? That's not done. Oh!
Oh, that one's yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's yours.
Oh, yeah, I was going to take a little.
So you want to touch on the little big one?
Sure. Sure. Where do you want me to start?
Well, I mean, you shared a lot with me, you know, and I researched a few things, but just,
Well,
No,
you've seen that,
No.
video, right?
yeah,
Or documentary?
yeah, documentary.
Yeah, this one, we never heard your story. You want to listen.
Good.
Well, I don't know if everybody's seen that video of Dakota 38 hanging. You seen it, Miles?
Was that the first
Oh,
part?
I think so. Anyways, they did a ride and they went to Mankato,
Oh, okay.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it 1864 or 62, December 25th?
Mhm.
President Lincoln,
Mhm.
38 Dakota
Yeah.
chiefs, they said they called them chiefs, 38 Dakota, plus 2, and then shortly after that, they were 2 more. But there was 38 that were
Mm-hmm.
If you watch that video, it's on YouTube too. And if you watch it, at the end, as they were going to be hung, you know, those 38, they were just happy going around hanging, shaking hands with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And thought they were crazy, but asked me why they're saying going home to the Creator. And the actors is like, they're going on a holiday trip. Vacation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they went up there, no fear. They hung them all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the law that they follow. They cannot give up or surrender
Mhm.
or the land.
Yeah.
Because the law is the law.
Mm-hmm.
What is law is, that's what. So that was that.
Mm-hmm.
Then, and then two more were hung. And then they were doing that across the land. They were massacring women and children. And then two, they had no fear of death. Because they understood what is law. Law is the Creator. So they were doing that. And then one of those chiefs got the message, a vision, that Custer's coming and he's going to wipe out all Indians in North America. And first is going to be the Sioux, wipe them out, the rest. And he's going to become president of the United States. So that was his mission.
Mm-hmm.
And then what that chief, his vision was, it's fine, you believe in your Creator, and fear, you're happy to
Mhm.
come home, but do not abandon the land.
Mm-hmm.
If you abandon the land will die.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's what they said.
Yeah.
So you must fight for the land. You must fight for the land. That's Creator's law.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the last stand
Yeah, yeah.
people of that.
Yeah,
land.
yeah. So he did that. And, there for altar holders, I don't call them medicine men, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but these people work with the Creator too.
Mhm.
They help people. But these people, these four, he said that they fought with the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And the devil's spirits or whatever
Yeah.
is back up. They fought with him. They fought with him. They defeated him.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pure battle of good
Yeah,
and evil.
yeah. So when they defeated the devil, now it's just man-to-man battle.
Mm-hmm.
Because the soldiers were coming with the devil.
Yeah.
They had extra help.
Yeah.
And they're not going after the humans. So now the good evil wants to back up this one and defend the land.
Mm-hmm.
So the good one is defending the land. So when they did those altars, did that. So the good went after the devil and defeated him. Okay, now it's wartime. So that battle started, what, 5 days before the big one
Mm-hmm.
was recorded. So in Billings, Montana, there's books of it. It's called Battle of Rosebuds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I think you can order that, go online. And in there, they talked about, I think it was Chicago Times and Washington Post reporters were invited to this battle. So they came, and 5 days before this, we went back. Y'all had a battle. And there, that battle was recorded. treated
Mm-hmm.
because his excuse was he was running out of ammo. But,
Yeah.
but according to the reporters interviewing these soldiers,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
So every time they were attacked, it was a different attack,
Mm-hmm.
different tactic.
Yeah.
And one was saying that they were going on flat land. So just like magic, the quarters were appearing and
Mm.
killing us.
Yeah.
So that was the camouflage of the land that they were doing usually.
Yeah.
So they couldn't fight because they weren't expecting that.
Yeah.
So then one soldier was telling his story. A bunch of wild horses were coming,
Mm-hmm.
and with this were going by. They came close, and here they were shooting in front of the horse, underneath the horse, and the back,
Mm-hmm.
the back of the horse.
So the warriors were riding
On the side,
on
yeah,
the side.
yeah. And it looked like there was just no
Mhm.
riders,
Yeah.
wild horses. But they did.
Yeah.
Again, they didn't have a chance to respond because
Mm-hmm.
it happened too quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, another one was telling that they came on horseback and went this way. So the soldiers went after them.
Mm-hmm.
But he was saying that even these grain-fed horses
Mm-hmm.
cannot keep up to these good horses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They outran them. And and then those are in the book that reporters reports,
Mm-hmm.
and who the soldier's name is, what rank,
Mm-hmm.
that was all recorded.
Yeah.
Multiple accounts.
Yeah. So that story and General Crook's story don't match
Mm-hmm.
because they were
Yeah.
fought, and he was saying he was running out of ammo, but they weren't shooting. Instead, they were getting killed all the time.
He was trying to save face.
Yeah. So that was happening. Didn't come on June 25th. That was the little big one battle.
Mm-hmm.
So, General Custer, his scout,
Mhm.
when he hangs with the scouts for him, is the one that sensed that they're not going to have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And then he used Custer's telescope.
Mm-hmm.
He told him, well, my friend, 2 days that they were going to die. He said, so he took it and he didn't see nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then this guy, he's seen the Dakotas as far as he can see, they're all lined up already.
Yeah.
It was as if land was moving.
Yeah.
Mm.
But Custer couldn't see it then. So
Yeah.
thought, we Custer is, he wants to lead his cavalry, so
Mm-hmm.
he did that.
Mm.
And, in 1980, there was a fire went through that
Mm.
site, that Cleveland
Yeah.
site.
Yeah.
And when it did, it uncovered all the artifacts that was left there
Yeah.
at the battle.
Oh,
So they called in the crime scene investigators.
Mm-hmm.
They came and they taped off the whole area and went through.
Yeah.
And the whole story is there, right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what the surprise was is it was Dakotas were more well-armed than the
Yeah.
US cavalry.
Yeah.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had more up-to-date guns than the
Mhm.
United States.
Yeah.
But what story was from our ancestors is from the north, and they're going, the British supplied Dakotas because they have that treaty I talked about earlier.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The military lines.
Yeah.
So they had to,
Mm.
their alliances,
Right, right,
their agreement was
yeah.
they
Yeah.
have to military alliance.
Yeah.
So they supplied them all the guns they need. Oh,
Makes a lot of sense.
yeah. So
Didn't know that.
yeah. So when they
Firing rate. was
yeah they had that
Lever action.
16-shot lever action.
Yeah.
Oh,
So those crime scenes, they analyzed the American soldiers' rifle, one
Mhm.
shot,
yeah,
and they timed it,
yeah,
1 minute.
yeah.
And this one, it's in that minute, you can unload his 16 shots.
Mm.
The other one's single bolt action.
Yeah,
rifles,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I remember those.
40 cal.
And they were called the Henry rifles,
Yeah,
but today they call them Winchester.
yeah,
Winchester bought that
yeah.
off the company.
I heard the one fellow say about the gun when we were testing it in the documentary, that the military one was made for long range.
Yeah.
And he said the other one was made for a shorter range.
Mm-hmm.
He said there was such a mass of warriors, they're going to get within range pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Once they did, right?
Yeah.
That was one of the weak spots.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's-
Yeah, and in the previous, that 5 days before, the other reporter reported that, I don't know, I forgot which reporter, but the
Mhm.
reporter had to report this
Mhm.
battle.
Yeah.
And he said he said he witnessed a cavalry to cavalry war, he said.
Mm-hmm.
And right there, and then Dakota proved to be the world's best cavalry in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what that reporter said in that book.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, it's true.
you know, like, we need to get that book and,
Yeah, yeah. Read it up.
yeah. So that's what happened there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's to prevent the Earth from dying.
Mhm.
Because if Custer wiped out all the Indians in
Mhm.
North America, the whole continent of North America will die because it's going to lose its inhabitants.
Mhm.
And the inhabitants is the people.
Yeah.
And then the other inhabitants will die too because one dies and the other ones dies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And these ones died, but the earth is going to die.
Yeah. Hmm.
So that's why that fight
Mhm.
happened.
Mhm. Hmm. Yeah.
So history repeats itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's repeating itself right now.
Mm-hmm.
But now the war is
Mm-hmm.
War of words.
but we're on the verge of being extinct too.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're extinct,
Mm-hmm.
even though you're sitting here
Mm-hmm.
and you have no knowledge of who you are and you don't have your language,
Mm-hmm.
then you're dead.
Yeah, that's right.
So you're no use to the earth.
Yeah.
The earth lost you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's about right now.
Yeah, it's imprinted.
Yeah.
People.
So they said, the people talked about that back then. They said that if that were to happen, all of us would be wiped out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They said the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and the end of the world is the world would end. Because piece of the earth would die, and the rest of it is going to die anyway. So
Mhm.
versus
Mm.
end. And that's what people don't understand.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between inhabitants and inhabitants. The inhabitants are the ones without land.
Oh, okay.
So that's why there was a big question at one time with the Montreal Canadiens. Kahakati,
Yes,
they
yes.
have that H there,
Yeah.
call themselves habitants.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know what that is?
yeah, they don't come from here, eh? French, they honor the French language, so it comes from over there, even though they might be from here. See, that was.
I thought it was a beer. That was part of the Canadian beer, and like maybe have a hat.
Well, I think we're good for today.
Yeah.
I think so. I think you guys, you got some great stuff here.
There's even
Mm.
songs of those, that little bit of that. And then one song was sung at Custer. Calls for war. The different way you say it, actually really tell it, but in a military way, when you call a war, what do you say that?
When you do a war wound?
Yeah, no, a war.
Oh.
Go to war. That's what he said. He wants to go to war.
So it's declaration?
Yeah, yeah, declaration of war, yeah. Called for declaration
Declaring
of war.
war, yeah.
Declaring war.
Yeah.
Okay. So he says, what? What totally wiped out, it says on that song, yeah. That's what we see. But this tells something, this sentence tells something, this tells something. And it meant that they left them not to tell, nothing to tell. Because they got totally wiped out. And then that's in the song.
Yeah.
We still have that song.
Yeah.
But it moves you. That song is.
Yeah, yeah.
Feel that.
Yeah, yeah.
With your core.
Yeah. Yeah. So those songs we have too.
Yeah.
Like, that's the history that's written down. It's the cap.
So,
How that is you?
Yeah.
when are you gonna give me, when are you gonna give me Custer's hat?
Oh yeah, they said that. We're supposed to wear these.
Yeah.
That's what we took away. That's our grandfathers took away.
Yeah.
And that's to prove that they want to.
Mm.
That's why we wear this. We don't wear these because we're cowboys.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we're horsemen,
Yeah.
but we're not cowboys.
Mm.
That's what people need to understand.
Yeah.
But this represents the victory. It's
Mhm.
true of that. Yeah. So, but the other thing too, I was going to say that.
Stick in that other man. Cory.
Yeah, it might be. But anyways, that was,
Yeah.
that's the, oh yeah, the powwows.
Mm.
Okay. Today they call it powwow. But those are reenactment and ceremonies that we have
Mm.
that are used in powwows right now.
Mm.
Those all came from that battle. And they dance in victory
Mm.
and tell the story at the same time.
Mm.
And then that's what the power is about. But people have no knowledge of those
Yeah,
dances.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
just dancing, you know. And the regalia is different.
Mm.
Those different clans that fought,
Mm.
they portray that,
Mm.
tell the story. They dance in victory because the songs that were made were for that victory of that
So we're tied to historic
Yeah.
events.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, one of them is the grass benches. Like they have lots of fringes, yarn. But those are the ones that fought the camouflage of the
Oh,
land.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that was,
yeah.
they were covered with grass.
Right.
They were covered with grass and blended in with the land.
Yeah, I wouldn't notice them.
Yeah, so that's where that story, where that soldier told that story. They were just walking along the
Yeah,
land,
yeah.
and all of a sudden,
Came alive.
yeah, so they were,
Yeah.
so, and the women, they wear the shawl. But those are the buffalo robes that were covered with grass. So now the shawl with the fringes represents that buffalo robe that covered with grass.
Yeah.
So those are the things that people don't understand right now.
What about the side rider?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That too.
Those are the backwards people call it.
Yeah, what does that mean? I didn't know what that meant.
Contrary.
Contrary people.
Okay.
Contrary. And those are the ones that are riding beside the horse.
Yeah.
That's their ability, and that's their.
I've never heard of that before.
You see those geese, they fly north and south every year?
Yeah.
Well, they think they're going south when they come up here. And they're going north when they leave. That was from the last ice age.
Oh,
When the world flipped over, the sun used to come up in the west and go down in the east. And then it happened, and then the sun came up in the east and went down in the west.
wow.
So that contraries are those people that still passed on that knowledge and
At that
custom.
time, yeah.
So very ancient society, very ancient
Yeah.
group of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that today, but.
A lot of this you don't hear.
No, I've never heard it.
I do, well,
But I can't say that anymore.
time is hard. I met an Inuit like that, what he's talking about, a contrary, that
Yes.
backward. I met an Inuit in Six Nations a number of years ago, 2004. And I asked him about that, if they had a story about that. And he said they did. They put a mark, well, there's no trees up there, it's straight freaking ice and snow. And they used to put a stick in the ground there to let them know which direction. Then they had a cabin and put a stick there, because the sun used to come up from the west. One day this big thing happened, there was darkness and everything, then the light came. And the first light came from the east, behind their house. And then he said it's going to happen again, that it's going to come up from the west again soon. That's what, 2004, 10 years ago.
Be interesting to cross-reference with other types of science too.
Well, it's only early August and the leaves are changing right now.
All the squirrels are putting their stuff away already. That was back just about 2 weeks ago now.
Even at our house, we're here in the city, they're doing.
They're packing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, literally packing.
Yeah, we're not even here yet.
They say it's when I get cold, the trees are going to burst. They're going to pop.
It doesn't have nothing to do with the groundhog, he's out of the.
Yeah. Nothing to do with Punxsutawney Phil.
We're gonna see the sun.
What happens if Frank sees a shadow tomorrow?
You know.
That's great. Well, I think we're good. Hey?
Yeah.
Well done. Thank you
Yeah.
for your time, guys.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yep, for sure.
Glad you're
Thanks
able to
for
come.
coming here, Frank.
Hey.
Thanks for me to come and listen to you guys.
Yep, that's good.
New stories.
New old ones.
You old.
That's true. What it is we go and see if there's a demand from the people producing the oil to ship on pipelines for
Yeah.
a set amount of time. So we have people in business development that go and secure those things. And then what we do is, when we determine there's a demand, forward in our application to that regulator that I mentioned, the National Energy Board.
Mhm.
One thing we did a little different on this project that I don't think we've done before is even when we were thinking about it, before we went to announcing it and engaging the municipalities,
Mhm.
we met individually with all the First Nations that were within relatively close proximity to the pipeline. Before we even made an announcement, we said, look, we're thinking of doing this. This is what it looks like. I mean, it wasn't in depth, Chief, was it? It was more of the initial concept, you know, it wasn't heavy meetings, it was just
Like
more
informative information?
information only, that's all it was. We recognize that it's not consultation, it's not these
No
things.
contract
right?
signed, nothing?
Correct, correct.
So that's the federal legislation about duty to consult, what they're doing.
Well, we're not allowed to do that. That's the federal government to, I'll say, nation.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some communities are very sensitive on the word consultation. So again,
Yeah.
like you said, definitions are so important.
Yeah.
Right? So me, as a person that interacts with communities, when I say I'd like to consult with you, it is a different nuance than the Crown's consultation. So we did letters of agreements with communities where, again, you like that word capacity, right? I think it's just thrown around way too loosely, but what we did was come up with an initial funding letter agreement to fund for the communities to look at the project. Because we know there's no budgets for chief to go and hire someone or the community to just dedicate one person to work with us. So we put that forward. It's been accepted pretty good so far throughout Canada. So that's sort of the initial process. Does that sort of
Yeah.
answer what you were talking about?
For Manitoba, I guess you have to speak with the transport minister in that area. He's the new guy now instead of the natural resources part of it.
Yeah.
For doing business like that.
So we're federally regulated because we cross those provincial boundaries, right? So our regulator is the National Energy Board. There are environmental things that we have to do and look at sensitive areas, and that would be one of the things we engage communities on too, is to do, you know, perhaps a traditional land use project to look at, okay, we're thinking of going through here, you know, we hire a community to tell us what their thoughts are on it. And if there's sensitive areas, you know, we can go around, you know, we have those discussions.
What's the position on the province on that?
In terms of the environmental side of things,
Well, the whole thing because of their trust, trustees to the land. Like they're the ones that,
Yeah.
see, this is where I'm kind of wondering and saying federally regulated.
yeah.
And province is the one ultimately that gives the license. And why are they coming to us when we should be sitting down with the province and say, TransCanada wants a pipeline right through here and we want to share the money that comes out of there?
With the province.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just telling you sort of the process that I know of. We're federally regulated. To my knowledge, we don't sit down with the province to cite the project. They'll have that jurisdiction on the environmental side of things. But then there's things like fisheries and oceans, that's federal, right? You know, so if we're looking to go under some bodies.
But at the end of the day, again, lands are still vested in the province.
Yeah, I don't know the reason.
Now,
for
the
that.
trustee to the lands is the province, because that's the one that collects all the money for it, eh? And as far as jurisdiction goes, the land is still, the trustee is still the province, okay? But as far as regulating or the regulations, of course, the feds can do whatever they want with their regulations. It don't
Yeah.
matter to me. But at the end of the day, the question of the land issue is at the table with the province.
Yeah.
That, because it's a land issue with the
Yeah.
province, it's a land issue with us.
So,
Well, the other question is, the chief of council, the federal jurisdictions.
Yeah.
And if the Fed are, you know, doing away with the First Nations chief of council, then why is everybody coming to the chief and council when they're going out the door, you know?
Yeah. The other thing is too, Frank, while I'm on it, I was gonna bring that up earlier. You just hang on to that so you can remember what you're gonna continue with after. Confidentiality agreements. Okay? When they get into office, I think there's about 7 or 8 documents we see that they have to sign, the chief and council, including confidentiality agreement. Okay? Now, the concept and the mindset of the people is, you're a chief, you speak for me and I tell you what to say. That's the idea. That's the old tribal system, right?
Okay.
Now, the way it sits on the mandate that they have when they give their oath of office is a federal board. It's written right in the 1951 Indian Act that the chief and council are nothing but a federal board. Okay? Check it out. So now, aside from having said that, these guys are federal agents, technically, right now. They work for the
Yeah.
government.
They're
They don't work for
replacing
the
the
people.
government
Yeah.
agent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever, Frank.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's what it states in that.
An agent is an agent is an agent, whether he's an Indian or white.
Yeah.
And the definition of an agent is what it is. Okay? And that's what they are right now. So they don't speak for us. And the agreements that they sign in camera or elsewhere with the idea that they've consulted with their people and they've talked to their people and they've got their direction from the people, they bring it to the table and this is what the people say. No, they don't say that. When they make the arrangements for entering the proposition of an agreement, there's percentage monies involved to qualify to be a partner or whatever, a member, whatever it is qualifies. 10% or whatever has to come down, even with hydro agreements or like that. Any agreement, pipeline agreement, there's got to be a percentage of money put down if you want to be a party to it, anywhere. And that's what qualifies you to be in that agreement. They don't tell people that. So they won't sign these agreements, and then whatever the investors or whatever parties or companies in Tyler, there's a 3-party agreement.
Mhm.
They get together and they talk and things, the word is green, let's go, let's do it. And then people are saying, oh, and then the shit hits the fan, right? Over here. And now these guys, they want out. We can't say nothing. Confidentiality agreement. And that's when things start to get really hot. Okay? So now we're stuck with, let's see, Manitoba Hydro and Manitoba. Okay, well, we're gonna put a stop to this, so they want to put up a block and whatever, like protest. Where's that? We need answers to this, we need questions to this, and that's what you're gonna run into. We don't do this properly, because now you're gonna come at you lawfully.
Yep.
You're not gonna come at you with a terrorist act, well, a court injunction, right? Now, instead of a court injunction, you're just gonna throw you in jail now, that's the legislation. So that's going to create a lot of dangerous things for our people. They might even hurt somebody. So this is where we're going, right? This is a very serious concern for us because we don't operate like that.
They're
We operate
agents.
we operate with paper.
So you're saying an agent
They're
is an agent?
they're agent, federal agent, corporation agent. Okay, when it boils down to, when I mentioned the Constitution Act, Section 52, it applies to government agents. Same with Section 32, it applies to government agents. If I take those two of those, the laws they have,
Yeah.
if I put it in court, they're all screwed. In other words, it doesn't matter what statute or regulations are following, whatever they have there. If I take that whole agreement and that section of the charters, I put it in, file it in court of record, who's gonna answer to that? Somebody's got to.
No one wants to.
No one wants to, but
But you're right.
it comes to the point that, if it comes to the point of that, I'll have to do that in order to be heard.
You know, we try to avoid those things, but we're
Yep.
compelled, right? We're compelled to do things we don't wanna do.